Hello, it's me. I'm back. So I got a few ideas of what I'm doing today. I'm gonna have a play around with all the different ways I can improve this visually. None of this is gonna be final. Then I might look into going over to Blender and creating things like fallen over trees, gravestones, bits and bobs like that I can pull in. We'll see if we can make it look more like this and less like this. I might look into to see if there's any easy tutorials on how you go about creating skyboxes for Unity and how that affects glow maps and stuff. Would be cool to actually have this effect in the sky, the whole forest in the distance thing with the church, and then I can actually put the moon in the skybox too. That would be pretty neat. So we could try and create something visually like this environment in Blender so that I could figure it out as a 3D model, and then what I've got to figure out is how to do that inside Unity. Let's see if I remember how to use Blender or not. I'm experimenting with art styles and making props and stuff and trying to figure out what I want the game to look like. And it got to the point where what I'm doing is I'm mocking up a scene of sorts. So I'm trying to create key visual out of 3D assets I'm making to try and establish an idea of what I want the game to look like. I'm trying to make my art style, but rather than doing it in 2D like most sensible people would, I'm just skipping straight to the 3D part. But a lot of the assets I'm making here as well, I'll then be able to break apart into their separate objects, save them, and then put them directly into Unity in the way I've made them. It'd be cool to like have this mock-up here of what the game can look like, and then once I want to turn these into assets, actually all I have to do is take these, which have separate origins, stick them in their own blend file, export them in FBX, and then I can use them as they are. Like, as long as I'm happy with how they look here, it's very easy to then convert them over there. What I'd want to do when I was doing that though is I'd want to make sure there's a uniform 1 size that makes sense. So when they're at scale 1, it's a sensible scale 1. Because I can do the same scaling and rotating stuff I'm doing here inside of Unity. So what I was thinking for something like the grass, I was thinking what I could create just to give like the effect of grass without having grass everywhere, because I'm going quite cartoony with it. Kind of similar to the brick texture thing I was messing with yesterday. We'll say this cube is like a 1x1 cube of the stuff. I don't want to make a graphic style because I'm the only one making this thing. I don't want to use a graphic style that's going to cost me a lot of time. Like, if I'm trying to do incredibly high fidelity everything, I'm not going to be able to make much. It's going to take forever to make a game. I'm using Crash Bandicoot 4 as a reference, but I can't do Crash Bandicoot 4's detail because that took a team of hundreds of people and I'm one person. So what I need to do is find something lower fidelity but with a similar sort of end result, which is why instead of doing every brick in the wall, you do an impression of brick instead of doing grass everywhere, like some grass render thing that makes a grass zone just have grass everywhere. I do impressions of blades like this that I can place around. They go, oh, okay, this green stuff is grass because there's blades of grass. Everything else is looking alright. I like the tombstone. I think the tombstone's the best bit so far. Trees are alright. I kind of like the simplicity of having the cone trees. It's one of the reasons I want to do a like pine forest. Is I like that shape. That shape works well for cartoony trees. The roots, I haven't forgotten what they were called again. I am also trying to mix the graveyard theme in more, so I should try and also look at modeling more graveyard elements, like the gargoyles I was thinking of before, some of the walls, maybe a lantern would be cool. It'd be cool to just make a big like environment scape in this area I've given myself here, because I've got quite a bit of space here, so I could definitely do it. One of the things I was thinking is like a double layered fog. So I have 2 layers of this and I have like random holes in the fog so that there's kind of 2 layers of fog. It'd be cool as well to have this like parallaxing in some way, so the fog's scrolling and moving in the world, so it's doing like that sort of thing. That's what I want it to do in the game, is kind of move like that to give it more of an effect that you're in like this sea of fog. Like that gives a really good impression of like what I'm trying to achieve there. We are going to come back to this scene, I think, because I think we're getting a lot of great ideas now. So I'd like to keep this conversation going. So definitely don't stop throwing ideas at me. I would love to add those to this scene and use this as a way to build up a visual key of what this is going to look like. I want to see if I can get rid of this sphere and actually do a proper skybox today. I'm going to do one in Blender first because I have an idea of how to do it in Blender. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and create this sphere out of a cube, because then I can make the texture on an unwrapped cube. That should do it. So now that should be my front face, and then those should be my sides, and that should be the underneath. So now what I can do is I can take this cube and subdivide it. There we go. So now our skybox is made of the cube. It should mean the texture's laid out how I want it to be. I'll take this part and I will add it to the skybox texture, but I'll also have a light map that will apply over the skybox texture to make this part of the map light up. Okay, so we have a real basic skybox on the go with the moon in. The moon is glowing. We have a slime in a cup. One of the other things I was thinking of maybe trying to do this stream was having more of a pass at one of the monsters, because it'd be cool for some of the concepts in February if I had another monster to show off. It doesn't have to actually work in game yet, but just have the visual for it so I can show like the wolf inside the environment, because we've got a choice between wolf, spider or skeleton. So I could model either of those 3. I reckon I'm going to try and model one of them at least before February so that I can have another enemy to show in material. Let's make a spider. Let's make a fucking spider. A spider. A good way to avoid arachnophobia is to do 6 legs instead of 8, although the animation will be a bit weird. I'm just trying to make it as friendly as possible. I just need to be careful of phobias, because it is a spider. I think what I'll do is I'll have it as a toggle. When the game's like more complete, what I'll have is I'll have a mode that turns them into a different monster or something. I'll just make it a more like fantastical creature rather than a spider itself if it becomes a problem. I would like to have it as a spider for now because it's thematic and it works, but I can definitely see it being a problem for arachnophobics. At the point I know I'm making this into a full thing, what I'll come up with is a set of guidelines to ensure that all models have similar fidelity, texture resolutions, all this stuff. Let's say the end game has like 80 creatures in. I don't want them to wildly vary in the resolution of their textures, the amount of verts they're using, how they're set up and animated. I want a kind of guideline I'm following by that point. At this point, the main thing is producing something appealing in a short span of time. For now, those guidelines aren't super important, but as it becomes more of a full project, like let's say after April, let's say the vertical slice goes well and this does actually become something, at that point what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to sit down and really think and plot out some guidelines for the whole project so that everything produced from that point onwards fits and scales correctly so that there's not any issues down the line, so I don't get 38 models in and then go, oh shit, now I have to change all previous 37 because things have changed. One of the things that will obviously change is I'll get better at modeling because I'll just be more practice. Hey, that's quite the change to the scene, isn't it? We've got the Skybox in the background now. We've got the extra island where I've done some tree stumps and bits. We've got bushes. The trees are a bit more textured now. And we have our spider monster, and we've got the other enemy in it as well, just to give you a visuals of what those guys look like too. Scene's starting to come together. The spider unlit in the dark, hanging from the tree, definitely just straight up looks like a spider. It's definitely spooky when it's unlit. Which, I mean, this is horror themed, so if it isn't at least a little bit spooky, have I succeeded, really? There should definitely be some spookiness to it, right? Thanks for stopping by, guys. Thanks for coming to see what I'm working on. Do I have to do another outro again?